Boom! Welcome back to Thoughtsexpressedtv, where we discuss personal development and self-help. I'm your host, McRob.
I'm your co-host, Annabelle.
And what up, though? It's your boy, Raw Hype, a.k.a. Mr. No Niceties as usual.
Welcome back. Today we're going to be discussing mental health awareness and self-care. Welcome back, Annabelle.
Likewise, I'm really excited to get this topic for this segment. So what exactly is mental health?
All right, so mental health is, or once was, I should say, a taboo topic. I think it has taken a profound twist in the 21st century, definitely, because there's been more awareness towards mental health, you know. Before, it was like stigmatized, and mental health is something that pretty much affects how we feel and how we relate to others, you know, how we process our feelings and everything. Yeah,
I think with like the previous topics that we've had, like from the other segments, I really think that going into this new one is really important.
Yes, and it definitely correlates.
Yes, it correlates big time. So mental health is something that, like you say, like it's not new, but I feel like it's newly acknowledged.
Yes, definitely.
So it's not something that people haven't known that it existed. It's just something that people were more like, you don't talk about it.
Yeah, because I mean, before it was like hush hush, you know, where people would just like generalize it, you know. If people had psychological disorders, it would just be, you know, oh, he's crazy, or something's wrong with him, you know. Instead of like,
what's really wrong?
Exactly.
You know,
Get into the root of the problem. Yep. So it's
like
definitely.
For me, like I know there's an actual definition for it, but my understanding is more so like being able to cope, like you said, with things that go on, and then having that like capability of managing it, internalizing it, and being able to like continue other like day-to-day activities.
Definitely, because it ultimately, you know, determines how we handle stress, and how we handle issues that we face, whether issues that we struggle with from the past or present, you know, going forward. So it's definitely one of those topics that I love talking about, you know, because I feel like the more you talk about it, the more comfortable you feel with expressing your feelings, you know, when you're in situations that would also cause you to stress.
Putting yourself in that vulnerable situation. And I say vulnerable because like, and sometimes it's deemed as like, oh, you know, maybe. But that's not what this situation means, but just it helps you be relatable to others.
Definitely.
Because I was reading up a little bit in the World Health Organization website, like 1 in 8 people struggle with some type of mental health.
Yeah, definitely. But you see, the thing is, using the words mental health, I think is what really adds to the stigma, because it just makes you sound like you're crazy. You know, but mental health can range from simple stress, depression, anxiety, and these are things that a great portion of people struggle with, you know.
For different reasons.
Yeah, everyone knows somebody who grapples with mental health, you know, for various reasons, whether it's the loss of a loved one and the inability to process that, you know, to cope, or just stress. Like, look what happened during COVID. You know, it was just like a sudden change to life. Now, imagine someone who had plans or who was on a rise during that period, having to pause everything, you know, and
challenged.
then. Raw Hype, you quiet over there, man. What's your views? Talk to us.
I'm already entering the no niceties zone, right? Because it's interesting to me that we even have to talk about this. Like back in the day, my parents, I love the old school, right? I'm talking about they go out in the field, pulling bugs off the plants just so they can eat for the family, right? Taking a chicken, wring the neck and throw it over the fence and gut it and cut it and eat it right there. You know what I'm saying? Mental health, bad, bro. It's cold outside, my back hurt. I'm missing 2 toes, and they still go out there and get the job done. Now we fast forward to now, and folks can't handle any type of stress.
Yeah.
How did we decline so far? Especially. I know the black community. I'm not sure how strong every other race is, but I know that the black community is definitely degraded and mentally dealing with stress. But I was talking to a lady yesterday. I was at her house, and I was like, "Man, y'all old ladies." That's not what I said to her.
Old ladies.
That's not what I said to her. But
older generation, maybe. Like,
yeah, I mean, she's in her 50s or 60s. I was like, man,
old ladies.
She's in like
Okay,
the 60s,
go
70s,
ahead.
70s, or 80s.
Classify her by her generation. Just Gen,
ahead.
Gen what? Gen X, Gen.
Whatever.
She was born in the 50s, before segregation. Anyway, so, back in the day, you know what I'm saying, mom would be at the house raising 10 plus kids by herself. 2 generations of kids, one of them 24 and the other one is 4. And everything in between, right? Daddy over across town with maybe one extra family. He's definitely working, never really home, comes home drunk, whatever like that. And she still hold down the whole family by herself with maybe a little bit of help from, a sister or two, whatever she can get, scrounge up. And that type of mental health compared to now where nobody can handle anything. I'm talking about like a criticism. Hey, your hair nappy today. My hair nappy. Oh, I need to call out for the next week. I can't do that. I can't do it. He ain't wearing a mask. I can't do it.
That goes back to emotional intelligence.
But I mean, it's just like the breakdown from.
Okay, you say they could handle it, but that doesn't mean it wasn't there. Like, it was there. It just wasn't acknowledged, and people didn't talk about it. Like, they coped in different ways. Like, maybe she had all those kids in the house, but maybe there was already substance abuse, so that's a type of mental health disorder. So there was alcoholism. And that comes with so many other things. So this is why it's important for us to talk about it now. So it doesn't mean that it didn't exist just because, yes, they were getting the job done, but how were they feeling? It wasn't acknowledged. And it was something like, oh, well, you can suck it up and move on. Like, we're sentient, what is it called? Sentient individuals? Yes. Beings. So we have feelings and we have to acknowledge them. And it's important for us to be able to grow as a whole. So maybe we're not, some people might feel like, oh, you're not growing. No, we are growing as a whole because we don't live in those times anymore. And we can take it way, way back.
And just to add to that,
times.
just to add to that, right? Think about it, before the advent of this technological era that we're in, a lot of things went unnoticed. So like she said, people did struggle with mental health, but they may not have deemed it mental health because they didn't understand the concept of mental health. You know what I'm saying? So
they just normalize that negative behavior.
There you go.
Because I know I grew up in a household where there was definitely mental health issues and on different like extremes maybe or on different levels. But even like now, we struggle with it. I've struggled with it before, and I can be very open about it.
Definitely.
And so it's not something that we can say, oh, well, they did this and they did it well, but how did they do it? And how did their behaviors transpose into like other people around them and their generations to follow?
That's a good point you made, because when you think about society on a whole, right? Persons from the past or the generations of the past are responsible for where we are today.
Yes.
So what caused us to be where we are today? Think about that.
A lot of hard work, for sure.
Hard work, yeah, but also the struggles contributed, because I mean, whoever experienced those struggles during that time, whether it's the children or whoever, I mean, some people pass it down. Some people don't outgrow that.
I have a perfect example. Like my mom and I talk about this a lot. My mom was born like in the late 60s. And when she tells me like, oh, I only went to school until 6th grade, and I'm like, why? That's all their mentality, I guess, their knowledge or whatever, culturally, that allow them to think that way. And I was telling my mom, I was like, Mom, and she was like, that's just how things were back in the day. And I'm like, for you, it's not like that for everybody. Because at that time when she was a young lady, there was people, studying astrophysics or, whatever they were studying, and they were doctors. And I'm like, for you, that's your reality. So that affected her going into like her young adulthood, where then she went back to school and whatnot. But I mean, yes, you can say they work hard, they did, but it's not like we don't all live the same life. So like acknowledging that mental health is real is important.
Definitely agree with that. So let's talk about like early intervention and how that can, assist in preventing, further detriment to persons suffering with mental health. Specifically, like saving lives. A lot of lives can be, you can save a lot of lives just by bringing awareness to mental health, because when you bring awareness, it allows for people to openly express themselves. And once you express yourself, then it gets to a point where now you can relate to other people who are going through the same thing. Because a lot of times we bottle in certain things thinking that we're the only one going through it.
Oh, yeah.
And then and I can attest to that, because I've spoke about certain things, like even to my close, like I would say my father, for example. There's certain things I would talk to my father about that I wouldn't talk to nobody about, nobody else about, because I mean, I don't feel bad about being judged by someone that close, for example, you know, or anyone that's close to you. And when you speak to them, you're like, wow, they went through the same thing. And here am I thinking that this person, you know, like they never faced any issues similar to what I may have encountered or experienced. And it's openly talking that brings that, you know, awareness to you that, okay, I'm normal. I mean, this happens. It's okay. We can get past it. So I think early intervention definitely, you know, adds to saving a lot of lives.
Sometimes it's hard. It's hard doing the early intervention into somebody that you care for, or sometimes people they're not there. They're like, no, I'm fine. I'm okay. You know, like, I'm okay. There's nothing wrong. And sometimes you know there's something wrong. I did that. I was like, no, I'm fine. I'm okay. But I wasn't. And so I was like, well, no, I'm not. Kind of deal. Then, you know, like in that intervention process, it's important, like you say, to talk about it.